Hello student, in our last topic we spoke about the introduction, Frederick Sorio's painting, and Unit 1, the French Revolution and the idea of the nation. Today let's go ahead with Unit 2. In Unit 2 we have 4 topics. The Unit 2's name is the making of nationalism in Europe. Let's start with topic 1, the aristocracy and the new middle class. I request all the students to open page number 8. Here, we are talking about a continent called as Europe. Europe didn't have any nation state. None of the countries in Europe were independent. What do you mean by nation state? Nation state means the states that have common language, tradition, history, and who are not ruled by monarchy is called as a nation state. Now, why did Europe didn't have any nation state? Because there was too much of diversity. How did Europe has too much of diversity? Let me give you an example of Habsburg Empire. Now, Habsburg Empire was ruled over Austria and Hungary. It was a patchwork of many different regions and people. Population spoke variety of dialects. A mass of subjects were peasants. Peasants means farmers. Such differences did not easily promote a sense of political unity. The only tie binding these diverse groups together was a common allegiance to the emperor. Now, these people had 3 different languages, French, Italian, German, and they didn't have any common language, no common tradition. So, it was not a nation state. Now let's move ahead. How did we get the idea of a nation state? The Europe was basically divided into 3 categories, type of people. First is aristocracy. They are high class society. They were few in number. They own a lot of land and property. They had a common language, French. They comprised of small group. Their families were often connected by ties of marriage growing among themselves. They were very united. Now the second type was peasantry. Peasantry means farmers, carpenters, pottery, etc. They were huge in number and they looked after the aristocracy lands. The third type which grew was the middle class. The middle class were the industrial sector people like doctors, engineers, industrialists, teachers, etc. Now this middle class people brought a new change. Now how the new change started? These people started one thing is nation unity and liberal nationalism. Nation unity already I spoke to you. Now what is liberal nationalism? Liberalism is a Latin word derived from liber meaning free. Now to achieve this freedom, they had some points. One is there should be individual freedom. Next, all sections, upper, lower, all are equal in front of law. Third, government should be formed on people's wish and not based on monarchy. There should be end of autocracy rule. That is a person who is elected by the people and will refuse to give his position back. Now, after this, even there is continuation of the sentence and end of clerical privileges. Now, people like Pope and clergymen enjoyed all benefits, whereas peasants suffered. Peasants means farmers suffered. Now, post this, they felt there should be a constitution wherein elected representatives think and find the solution for the nation. These are the liberal nationalism rules. Now post this, when we understand about nation unity and liberal nationalism, let's go ahead. That time 2 problems arose. One was the people that are only the men above the age group of 21 who are rich. That means who have a property only can vote. I am talking about only men. No women can vote. Now, other than that, the state should state to state trade restrictions were there. There were trade barriers. To abolish this, there was something which was framed as Zollverein. So these two problems, when they arose, people started finding many more issues. Now, to abolish this state-to-state trade restriction, the first attempt they made was Zollverein. Now, what is this Zollverein? In 1834, a custom union was formed. This was formed between 4 nations. The initiative was taken by Prussia, and later the German states joined. Because of this, lot of help happened. How? It abolished trade barriers. All the taxes, custom duties, whatever was imposed during the time of Napoleon, they were all removed. Then these countries had lot of different type of currencies, close to 30. Now they reduced that to 2. Only 2 type of currencies prevailed in all the 4 countries. Now post this, what happened? Now post this, there was something called as conservatism arose. Now what is this conservatism? In the Battle of Waterloo, all the sovereign nations, that the 4 nations we spoke about in the last slide, these country nations were Britain, Prussia, Russia and Austria. These nations defeated Napoleon in 1815. They formed a government called as conservatism. Now what did this conservatism have that was different from the Napoleon rule? It posted the importance on traditions, customs, and it brought a new important statement that there should be a fast development which will help the country to grow faster. In short, all the rules, whatever Napoleon had made, were removed and all the old policies were brought forward. Now, this they entered through a treaty called as Treaty of Vienna in 1815. 1815, Napoleon was defeated. So these people, all the 4 countries, entered into a treaty, and this treaty was called a Treaty of Vienna. In this, the Congress was hosted by Austrian Chancellor Duke Metternich. Now Metternich is a monarchy family. Now this people then later got educated, and one of the person became a chancellor in this treaty. Now what is the treaty all about? It consisted of the Bourbon dynasty. This was destroyed during the French Revolution, which again got restored. The second point is, here the states were set up on the boundaries of France. See, this is a France. In this, whatever boundaries are there, here the states were set up. Why did they set this? To prevent the French expansion. They didn't want any more expansion to happen, so they set up this one. This was a part of a treaty. Now all the 4 countries earned some or the other thing except Britain. Now what did Prussia get? It got the important territories, that is in the west. Now the next nation was Austria. Austria got control over northern part of the Italy. Next was Russia. Now Russia, that is a German confederation of 39 states. So Russia got Poland. Now Poland has few of the 39 states which were set up by Napoleon. So those states which were set by Napoleon were not touched. Other than that, Russia got half, that is more than half of the Poland. Now, the conservative regimes set up in 1815 were autocratic. That is, it was elected by the people, but later these people were not ready to leave it. So this thing happened. Now conservative regime, when Saul was set up in 1815, they were not happy. People started feeling that a lot of pressure was there with respect to the prince. What was this prince we are talking about? What do you mean by prince? Prince means newspaper, books, plays, songs. People used to sing songs on the roads and they used to update the citizens. They used to make plays, dramas, skits. They used to write in the books. They used to publish in the newspapers. There was a censorship. Censorship law was what? You can't write anything bad about the rules set up by the current resignment. So whatever this treaty people, all the 4 countries, against them no one can write. Because of this, there was a rise in revolutionaries. Now the revolutionaries rose. They said this is wrong. How can you say that there can't be any more prince? You can't be so autocratic. Now let's go ahead about revolutionaries. These are the secret societies. Here, what was the aim? To spread the idea of nationalism. All single nation, one country. They opposed monarchy. They wanted freedom. They wanted the freedom from the autocratic rule. Now, they wanted to form a single nation. I already explained about this. What is a single state? Now, there was an entry of a person called as Giuseppe Mazzini. Now, he was a Genovian. He was born in 1807. When he was 24, he was sent into exile because he revolutionized in Liguria. It is a name of a place. He was a revolutionary. He had his own concept and he was against the autocratic rule. Now, he founded 2 underground societies. One was Young Italy in Marseilles, Young Europe in Berlin. He was believing in unification, unifying the whole Italy. What was the result? Many people started following him. There were many again secret societies which were built. His constant efforts and his pressure frightened the conservatives. Now, he was a person who rose to power and inspired many other people. Now, there is something called as Metternich. Metternich was a person who describes the Giuseppe Mazzini as the most dangerous enemy of that time. What do you mean by Metternich? Who was this person? What is this? Metternich is a German noble family. It originated in the Rhineland. These people initially support monarchy, later got educated and started being a part of conservatives. I think so we studied about them. One of them became the chancellor of the treaty, Vienna Treaty. Now let's go ahead and revise the dates. In 1789, French Revolution began. After 10 years, Napoleon came. He started a code in 1804, that is a civil code, and in 1815 he was killed by 4 nations. And in 1815, when he was killed, 4 nations signed a Treaty of Vienna. In 1834, Zollverein emerged. Now these are the important questions. Kindly go through the important questions. Other than this, also you have questions at the end of every chapter. That is the end of all the units, not after every unit. End of all units, you have a set of questions. Other than that, these are important questions which I am covering per unit.